She left me saying, "You're poor, I can't live with you," and ran to her new boyfriend. But that's when my real revenge began. I remember the first time I saw Vanica. The air smelled of coffee and rain in that small Greenwich bookstore. I was 23, broke, and surviving on black coffee and dreams. She stood near the poetry aisle, humming a song I couldn't name. Her laughter drew me in before her eyes did, hazel, bright, dangerous in the kind of way that makes you forget logic. "Do you always stare at strangers like that?" she asked, smirking as she caught me looking. I panicked. "Only when they look like they belong in a movie." She laughed. "Smooth line. You practiced that one?" "Only in emergencies." "That's good," she said. "Because you'll need it if you ever talk to me again." I remember smiling, awkward, nervous. Then I guess I'm already in trouble. That was how it started. No dating app. No setup. Just rain, coffee, and two people pretending they weren't lonely. We spent hours that first day talking. She told me she worked part-time at an art gallery. I told her I was a junior designer at a small studio no one had heard of. She teased me for drinking cheap instant coffee. I teased her for collecting expensive sketchbooks she never drew in. Days turned into weeks. She'd drop by my studio with sandwiches because I'd forget to eat. We'd walk along the Thames after sunset, hands brushing like secrets. "Do you ever think about forever?" she asked once, as the city lights shimmered on the water. "Sometimes," I said. "But forever's expensive. I can only afford tomorrow." She laughed, but I saw something flicker in her eyes, curiosity, maybe doubt. "Then maybe I'll buy us forever," she said, half joking, half serious. Back then, I didn't know what she meant. 3 years together felt like a lifetime. We had our little rituals: morning coffee at Dean Street Cafe, Friday walks through art galleries, late-night arguments that ended in quiet apologies. I loved her fiercely, the way only a man with nothing can love something rare. One night, she held my hand and said, "You know, we could move in together. Maybe find a small place near the park." "With what money?" I asked, half laughing. She shrugged. "You'll get a better job soon. You're talented. It's just a matter of time. Or maybe we just stay where we are and keep dreaming," I said. "Dreams don't pay rent," she whispered. I remember how her voice changed when she said that, softer, colder. I should have known something had started shifting. A year later, she began dressing differently. Expensive perfumes replaced her old floral ones. Her phone stayed face down more often. She worked late shifts at the gallery that somehow didn't end until midnight. "Vanica," I said one evening, trying to sound casual, "you've been busy lately." She didn't look up from her phone. "Art season. You know how it is." "Right. Art season," I said, forcing a smile. "Does art text you that much?" She froze for a second. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I said quickly. "I was just kidding." Her tone snapped. "Don't make jokes like that. You sound insecure." Maybe I was. But somewhere deep inside, I already knew. Suspicion became habit. I noticed perfume that wasn't hers. Calls she'd step outside to take. I stopped sleeping. I started checking. And then one evening, I saw it. She left her laptop open, a message popped up. "Can't wait to see you again tonight, Redheart, Eric." I remember staring at it for minutes, my chest hollow, my hands shaking. When she came home, I said nothing. She kissed my cheek like nothing had changed. I smiled back. "How was work?" "Busy," she said. "So many clients today." "Good," I whispered. "You should rest." That night, I lay awake beside her, watching her breathe, realizing the woman I loved had been lying in the same bed, dreaming of someone else. The next day, I went to find Eric. He worked at a nearby marketing firm. I waited for him outside his office, heart pounding. When he stepped out, I said, "Hey, Eric. Can we talk?" He looked confused. "Do I know you?" "You're dating Vanica," I said flatly. He blinked. "Vanica?" "She told me she was single." I laughed bitterly. She told me she was faithful. We sat at a cafe, two strangers bound by betrayal. I showed him the screenshots. His face changed from disbelief to anger. She played both of us, he muttered. Yeah, I said. But maybe we don't have to end as her victims. He looked at me cautiously. What do you mean? I mean revenge, I said. We expose her. Together. We planned it carefully. He'd invite her to dinner at a restaurant near the pier. I'd already be there, waiting. The night came. My heart raced as I sat 2 tables away, pretending to read a menu. Vanica walked in, radiant, confident, the same charm that once melted me. She kissed Eric's cheek and laughed like nothing was wrong. Eric played along. Then, at the right moment, he said, "You know, it's crazy how small the world is." She frowned. What do you mean? He gestured toward me. That guy, he says he knows you. Her eyes followed his hand. When she saw me, the color drained from her face. Hamza, she stammered. What are you doing here? I smiled calmly. Having dinner. You? Eric, what's going on? She asked, voice shaking. What's going on, Eric said, is that we both know who you really are. She looked between us, confused, cornered. You're both insane. No, I said softly. Just done being played. I stood up, dropped the screenshots on the table, and walked out before she could say another word. Outside, the night was cold, the air heavy, but for the first time in months, I felt light. Days passed. She tried calling, I ignored every ring. She messaged me long paragraphs that began with, "I can explain," and ended with silence. I didn't reply. I was too busy planning my next move. Her cousin Mia had always been kind, curious, and nothing like Vanica. She reached out after hearing what happened. One coffee turned into 2. One laugh turned into comfort. Vanica noticed. Her messages changed tone, from guilt to jealousy. "You're with Mia now," she texted one night. "My cousin?" I typed back, "You left me saying I was poor. Maybe now you can see what you lost." Weeks later, everything changed. My father passed away. I thought grief would break me, but what came next broke everyone else. When his will was read, I discovered he'd left me billions. My simple father, the man who wore old shirts and drove a dented car, had been teaching me the value of humility all along. I sat in silence as the lawyer spoke. The truth hit me like a quiet storm. I was never poor. I was being tested. A month later, I saw Vanica again. She stood outside my new office building, tears glistening in her eyes. "Hamza," she whispered, "I didn't know. If I had." I stopped her. "You'd have stayed?" She nodded helplessly. I smiled, not cruelly, just tired. "Then you never loved me. You loved what I could become." Her voice cracked. "I made a mistake." "No," I said softly. "You made a choice." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "Goodbye, Vanica." As I walked away, I realized revenge wasn't in exposing her. It was in becoming everything she thought I couldn't be, without her. Love had been beautiful once. But now, it was just a lesson carved into my heart. It started small, late replies, cancelled plans, strange excuses. Vanica said she was working late, but her location said she was miles away. I told myself love needed trust, not paranoia, but my gut whispered louder than my reason. "Hey," I said one night as she came in past midnight. "Gallery again?" She tossed her purse on the couch, not looking at me. "Obviously. We had a private showing." "At 11? She sighed. "God, Hamza, not this again. You sound like my father." "I'm just asking." "Then stop asking." Her words cut sharper than I expected. I stared at her for a moment before walking away, pretending not to care. A few weeks later, I mentioned our weekend plans. "Saturday dinner still on?" I asked, trying to sound light. She didn't look up from her phone. "Actually, I might have something at the gallery again." "Another event?" "Yeah. Big client from New York. I forced a smile. Right. Clients. Got it. She finally looked up, eyes narrowing. You have that tone again. What tone? The jealous one. I laughed, hollow. I'm not jealous. Just trying to remember what your voice sounds like when you talk to me. She exhaled sharply and muttered, You're being dramatic. Maybe because I miss you, I said quietly. She hesitated but didn't respond. Instead, she grabbed her keys and left. The next morning, Tom noticed something at work. You okay, man? He asked, spinning his chair toward me. Yeah, why? You've been staring at that logo design for 15 minutes. I smirked weakly. Just perfecting it. He leaned closer. Perfecting, or overthinking? I shrugged. Maybe both. He studied me for a moment. It's Vanica, isn't it? I didn't reply. He sighed. Look, Hamza, I've seen her around. She's different now. You sure everything's fine? She's just busy, I said, defensive. Tom frowned. Busy girls don't flirt with every guy in a gallery. I froze. What? He looked uncomfortable. Forget it, man. I probably saw wrong. No. Tell me. He hesitated. Last Friday, after work, I went to the art show near Dean Street. She was there, laughing with some guy in a suit. He had his hand on her back. My chest tightened. Maybe he's a client. Maybe, he said, but she didn't look like she was talking business. That night, I confronted her gently, hoping Tom was wrong. Hey, I said while she was taking off her earrings. You had an event Friday, right? Yeah. Why? Who was the guy in the gray suit? She stiffened slightly. Client. Why? Tom saw you. Said he was close to you. She laughed without humor. So now your coworker spies on me? No, I just. She interrupted, You just don't trust me. I'm trying to, I said. But you keep giving me reasons to question things. She turned around, eyes flashing. You know what your problem is? You're too insecure. You think every man talking to me wants to steal me. I swallowed hard. Maybe I just know how easy it is to lose someone who stops wanting to be kept. For a moment, she softened. I'm not going anywhere, she whispered. But I didn't believe her voice anymore. Her best friend Erica started showing up more. She was everything Vanica admired, bold, expensive, careless. One afternoon, I walked into a cafe and overheard them. Girl, you need to stop settling, Erica said. You could do so much better. Vanica chuckled. Hamza's not bad. Not bad? He's sweet, sure, but sweetness doesn't buy freedom. You deserve a man who matches your ambition. And what if I love him? Vanica asked softly. Erica sipped her drink. Love fades. Security doesn't. They didn't see me. I left before they could. But those words stayed, burning. That night, I asked her, Do your friends ever talk about me? She raised an eyebrow. Why? Just curious. They think you're different. Different? Simple. You're not like the men they date. Simple, I repeated. That's a polite word for broke. Don't twist it, she said quickly. They just want me to have stability. I thought love was stability. She looked away. Sometimes love isn't enough. After that, little things began to rot the edges of what we were. She stopped calling me handsome. One day, she laughed mid-conversation and said, You're so cute when you try to be serious. Cute? I repeated. Yeah, what's wrong with that? Nothing, I said, though it stung. It's just what people call puppies. She rolled her eyes. Don't be dramatic. But that night, I couldn't stop hearing the word cute echoing in my head. Weeks turned to months. The distance grew louder than our conversations. I tried to bring us back. Let's take a weekend trip, I suggested. Just you and me. She didn't even glance up from her phone. I can't. Too much work. You always say that. Because it's true. Or maybe because it's easier than saying you don't want to. She slammed her phone down. What do you want from me, Hamza? Honesty, I said. She exhaled sharply. I'm tired. Can we not do this tonight? Sure, I said quietly. Let's not do this, like everything else we used to. She looked at me, eyes cold, and walked away without a word. Tom tried to talk to me again the next day. Man, you can't keep pretending it's fine, he said. She's slipping away. I know, I admitted. But I don't know how to hold her anymore. Maybe you're not supposed to, he said gently. I stared at my coffee, silent. He added, sometimes the best thing you can do is stop fighting for someone who's already gone. But I wasn't ready to let go. Not yet. The final crack came one evening at dinner. I'd cooked her favorite pasta, trying to remind us both what love felt like. She arrived an hour late. Sorry, she said casually, hanging her coat. Traffic. Traffic doesn't make you forget to call. She looked annoyed. You're impossible lately. I'm trying, I said. You just keep walking away. Because you make everything a problem, she snapped. I stared at her. Do you even want this anymore? She didn't answer. Vanika, I pressed, just tell me the truth. She looked at me for a long moment, then said softly, you're good to me, but sometimes, love isn't enough. The words hung in the air like smoke. What does that mean? I asked quietly. She shook her head. It means I don't know who I am when I'm with you anymore. Then find yourself, I said, my throat tightening, but don't expect me to wait if you get lost. She turned away. Maybe that's for the best. And that was it, no shouting, no grand ending. Just silence that said everything we were too afraid to. That night, I lay awake, listening to her breathe beside me, knowing every inhale was another step away. I told myself trust was strength, but it felt like stupidity. Love used to be effortless. Now it was survival. And even though I still held her hand, I knew the cracks had already turned into walls I couldn't climb anymore. I remember the first time I noticed it, a faint trace of men's cologne on her scarf. Not mine. I told myself maybe it was from work, maybe someone brushed past her. But that lie didn't last long. Soon it was receipts from hotels, half-open messages she quickly hid, and that new perfume she wore only when she said she was working late. Vanika, I said one night, trying to sound calm, you've been busy a lot lately. Everything okay? She barely looked up from her phone. Just projects, you know that. Clients are exhausting. Then why do you smell like Dior Sauvage? I asked quietly. She blinked, froze for a second, then laughed. Seriously, you're keeping track of perfumes now? You're getting paranoid, babe. I forced a smile. Maybe. But deep inside, something cracked. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her words echoing in my head. Paranoid. Maybe I was. Or maybe I was finally waking up. The next day at work, Tom noticed my silence. You're zoning out again, man, he said. Yeah, I muttered, typing aimlessly. It's her, isn't it? He said, lowering his voice. You've got that look people get when they're pretending they're fine. I chuckled dryly. You should be a therapist. I'm serious, bro. If she's pulling away, don't ignore it. Trust your gut. I looked at him for a long time. That's the problem. My gut won't shut up. That night, I did something I swore I'd never do. I checked her phone while she was showering. It was locked, of course. She'd changed her password. I stood there, phone in hand, heart pounding. I put it back. I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I started watching. Her patterns. Her tone. Her lies disguised as laughter. Then one Friday, I followed her. She told me she was going to a team dinner. I waited 15 minutes after she left and took my car, keeping a distance. She stopped at a cafe near the river, not a workplace, not a meeting spot. She walked in wearing that blue dress she knew I loved. And then I saw him. He was tall, dressed like money, his smile too easy. She leaned toward him, eyes glowing, hand brushing his across the table. I felt my stomach twist, but I stayed there, hidden behind tinted glass. Watching. Memorizing. When she laughed, that laugh she used to save for me, something inside me died quietly. She left after an hour. He kissed her cheek. I watched him leave in a black BMW. License plate, memorized. Name, not yet. But soon. That night, when she came home, she hugged me casually. "You're still up?" "Yeah," I said softly. "Couldn't sleep." She smiled, kissed my forehead, and walked to the shower humming a tune. The same perfume followed her. That was the moment I stopped being her lover. I became her observer. Over the next few weeks, I learned more than I ever wanted to. His name was Eric. Age 29. Worked in finance. Met Vanica at a networking event, thought she was single. I found her messages on an old sync tablet she'd forgotten about. "Can't wait to see you again, Red Heart," he'd written. "Soon, baby." "He's been so clingy lately, weary face," she replied. I stared at that screen until the words blurred. Then I took a screenshot. Proof. The next day, Tom found me in the break room. "You look like you haven't slept in a week." "I haven't," I said. "She's cheating, isn't she?" I didn't answer. Just looked at him. He exhaled. "What are you gonna do?" "Watch," I said. "And when I'm done watching, I'll decide." Days turned into weeks. I collected everything: photos, call logs, screenshots, even voice notes. I wasn't angry anymore. Anger burns out fast. What replaced it was colder, sharper. A quiet calculation. Then one afternoon, I went to the same cafe again, pretending to work on my laptop. She walked in with Eric. They sat at their usual table. I listened from 2 tables away, pretending to scroll. "I missed you," she said, her voice soft. "I missed you more," Eric replied. "But I still don't get it, why hide us?" She sighed dramatically. "He's complicated. He helped me when I had nothing. I can't just throw that away suddenly." Eric frowned. "So you're using him?" "Don't say it like that," she whispered. "It's not like that." He chuckled bitterly. "You sure?" She smiled and reached for his hand. "Trust me." I nearly laughed out loud. The irony was suffocating. That night, I opened my laptop, stared at the folder labeled "V Evidence," and whispered, "Almost time." The next weekend, I followed Eric after their date. He drove to a house near the marina. I parked nearby, waited. Then a young woman came out, looked like him, same eyes. She noticed me, frowned, and walked over. "You've been sitting here for a while," she said cautiously. I hesitated. "Sorry, I'm just following my brother." That startled me. "Your brother?" "Yeah. Eric." "Who are you?" I hesitated, then said, "Someone who needs to tell him something." "About Vanica." Her face softened slightly. "You mean his girlfriend?" "His girlfriend," I echoed bitterly. "Yeah." She studied me. "You don't look like a stalker." "I'm not. I'm just the other guy." Her eyes widened. "She's cheating on you both?" I nodded. "And he doesn't know yet?" She exhaled sharply. "He deserves to." "I plan to tell him," I said. "But not yet. I want him to see it himself." She crossed her arms. "You're planning something." "Not revenge," I lied. "Just truth." Lena, that was her name, looked at me like she could see through the calm. "Be careful. People like her, they know how to twist stories." "I already have proof," I said. "She can't twist what's recorded." When I got home, I laid everything out on my desk: photos, chat logs, receipts. I labeled them by date, cross-checked them with her excuses. Every lie fit perfectly like a puzzle. 2 days later, I texted Eric anonymously. She's not who you think she is. Meet me at the old cafe tomorrow. 6 p.m. The next evening, he showed up, cautious, confused. I wore a cap and glasses, sitting in the corner. He scanned the room, spotted me, and walked over. You texted me? Yes, I said, sliding a photo across the table. That's her with me. 2 months ago. His jaw clenched. What are you saying? I'm saying she's been with both of us. He stared at the photo for a long time. You lying? No. Check the timestamps. The nights she said she had family dinners? She was with me. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. Unbelievable. Believe it, I said quietly. She played us both. He nodded, face pale. So what now? Tomorrow night, I said. You ask her out again. That same restaurant. I'll be there. You'll see it yourself. He hesitated. You sure about this? Absolutely. When he left, I sat there for a long time, staring at the empty cup in front of me. My reflection in the window didn't look like me anymore, just someone tired of being the fool. The next day, I sent one last message to Vanika, dinner tomorrow? I miss you. She replied instantly, can't. Busy night. I smiled. Busy, huh? I whispered. We'll see. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in months. Not because I'd forgiven her, but because I finally knew what I'd become. Not her victim. Not her lover. When I finally met Eric again, he was pacing near the cafe entrance, his face tight with confusion. You're sure about this? He asked, glancing around. I nodded and slid my phone across the table. Read. He scrolled through the screenshots silently. Each line hit him harder than the last, the emojis, the baby, the lies. His grip on the phone tightened. She told me she was single, he whispered. I know, I said quietly. She told me she was working late. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. How long? Almost a year, I said. Long enough for her to build 2 lives and think she could keep both. He didn't speak for a moment. Just stared at the wall behind me, jaw clenched. I should have seen it, he muttered. She always dodged questions about her past. She fooled both of us, I said. But we can end it right. He frowned. End it how? You want a fight? No, I said. No shouting, no chaos. Just truth. Eric looked at me, uncertain. You want to expose her? Not out of spite, I said. Out of justice. She needs to see what she's done, see both of us there. He rubbed his temples. You sound calm for a guy whose girlfriend cheated on him. I stopped being angry weeks ago, I said. Anger fades. Clarity doesn't. He sighed. So what's the plan? I pulled a napkin closer and drew a rough layout of the restaurant. You invite her to dinner. Somewhere nice. Somewhere public. She'll expect romance, not confrontation. He leaned in. And you'll be there? Already seated. Quiet. Watching. When the time's right, I'll walk up. He hesitated. And then? Then the truth speaks for itself. He exhaled, nodding slowly. That's cold, man. It's clean, I said. No drama, no lies. Just exposure. For a while, neither of us spoke. The weight of the plan settled between us like smoke. Then he said, You really think she deserves that kind of scene? She deserves the truth. The kind that burns quietly. He nodded, almost reluctantly. All right. Tomorrow night. 7:30. I'll text her. I watched him type the message, dinner tomorrow? Just us. She replied within minutes, can't wait red heart. Eric smirked bitterly. She's fast. Always was, I said. As he left, I sat there staring at the empty seat across from me. My reflection in the cafe window looked unfamiliar, composed, detached, almost surgical. For the next 24 hours, I rehearsed everything I'd say. In my head, I saw the scene over and over, her laughter fading when she saw me, the confusion in her eyes, Eric's silence. I imagined her realizing that her two worlds had finally collided. Tom called that night. "You sure about this, man?" "Yeah," I said. "This could blow up in your face." "I've thought about that." "Still worth it." He sighed. "You sound like a lawyer preparing evidence." "I am," I said. "Just not for court." Morning came slow. Every minute felt heavy. I tried to work, but the cursor blinked endlessly on the screen, mocking me. By evening, I stood in front of the mirror, straightening my shirt. My hands didn't shake, that surprised me. I'd imagined I'd be angry, trembling. Instead, I felt hollow. At 7, I reached the restaurant first. A quiet Italian place downtown, her favorite. I took a corner table with a clear view of the entrance. The air smelled of basil and wine. Soft music played, almost ironic. 7:30. Eric walked in, looking sharp but tense. He glanced around, saw me, and gave a small nod before sitting near the center. Then she arrived. She looked radiant, smiling that same effortless smile that used to undo me. She leaned over to kiss him, laughing, completely unaware. For a moment, I almost pitied her. Eric kept his composure. "You look amazing," he said. She smiled. "You too. I've missed you." "Missed me?" he said softly. "That's interesting." Her smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" He leaned forward. "Do you usually tell your boyfriend you miss another man?" She froze. What are you talking about?" That's when I stood up. Slowly. Calmly. Her eyes met mine, confusion, then horror. "You?" "Me," I said quietly. "The clingy one, remember?" She went pale. "Eric, this isn't." He cut her off. "Don't." He showed me everything. She looked between us, desperate. "This is insane. He's lying." I pulled my phone from my pocket, tapped the screen, and slid it toward her. "Read the timestamps." Her lips parted, but no words came out. Eric leaned back. "How long, Vanica?" Her voice shook. "You don't understand, I understand perfectly," I said. "You wanted both worlds, comfort and luxury. You thought truth could be managed." She clenched her fists. "You planned this?" "Yes," I said simply. "To show you what honesty looks like." The silence stretched. The waiter approached, oblivious. "Would you like to order?" Eric waved him off. "We're done here." Vanica stood abruptly. "You two are pathetic." "Maybe," I said. "But we're not liars." She turned away, muttering, "You'll regret this." "Maybe," I said softly, "but at least I'll regret something honest." She stormed out, heels clicking sharp against the floor. The door closed behind her, leaving only the sound of quiet music again. Eric exhaled, staring at his untouched glass of wine. "That was brutal." "It was necessary," I said. He nodded. "Guess we both got played." "Yeah," I said. "But now we both know." He offered a faint smile. "You're colder than I expected." "Pain does that," I replied. He stood, stretched his hand out. "Thanks for the truth." I shook it. "Take care, Eric." As he left, I sat back, staring at the door she'd walked through. The room felt lighter, though my chest didn't. I'd imagined satisfaction. Instead, I felt finished. Truth doesn't heal. It just ends the illusion. She arrived radiant, red dress, gold earrings, hair falling perfectly. I recognized the perfume before I saw her. Sweet, familiar, expensive, the scent of betrayal. Watching her sit across from Eric felt unreal, like I was outside my own body, watching a scene I'd already rehearsed too many times. Eric smiled politely, masking the anger I knew was simmering beneath. "You look beautiful," he said. She laughed softly. "You always say that." "Because it's true," he replied, voice calm but strained. They talked casually for a while, about work, friends, nothing that mattered. Every word was an act. I waited, heart steady, watching from the corner booth. The folder in my hand felt heavy, not from weight, but from everything inside it. She leaned forward after a few minutes, touching Eric's hand. "You've been quiet tonight," she said gently. "Something wrong?" He smiled faintly. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About honesty," he said. Her fingers froze. "Honesty?" "Yeah," he said. "It's an underrated thing these days." She laughed nervously. "You're acting weird." That's when I stood up. My chair scraped the floor lightly, the sound cut through the restaurant's music. I walked toward their table, every step measured. She turned, smiling automatically, expecting a waiter. When she saw me, her smile died instantly. Her voice trembled. "You?" "Me," I said quietly, setting the folder down between them. "Thought you'd like to see this." Eric didn't say a word. He just looked at me, nodded once, then opened the folder. The paper crackled softly. Photos. Screenshots. Texts. Every secret printed in color. She stared, wide-eyed. "What is that?" Eric flipped a page. "Evidence," he said coldly. "This isn't what it looks like," she blurted out, her voice cracking. "It's exactly what it looks like," I replied. Her eyes darted between us. "You two planned this?" "Yes," I said. "Together." The restaurant had gone silent. Even the waiters froze, pretending to arrange glasses. She whispered, "I can explain." "Then explain," Eric said. She shook her head rapidly. "He's twisting things, he's obsessed. He followed me, stalked me." I leaned forward. "I didn't have to stalk. You left trails everywhere." Her lips trembled. "You had no right to invade my privacy. You had no right to build two lives," I said. She turned to Eric desperately. "You believe him over me?" He slid the photos across the table. "That's your handwriting. Your words. Your voice notes. What am I supposed to believe?" Her jaw clenched. "He set me up." I met her eyes calmly. "I didn't set you up. I just stopped covering for you." She slammed her hand on the table, the sound echoing. "You think this makes you better than me?" "No," I said softly. "Just freer." The tension hung heavy. A glass somewhere clinked faintly. The waitress stepped back slowly, pretending not to notice. Eric finally spoke again, voice quiet but sharp. "You played both of us. For what? Attention? Money?" She glared at him. "You wouldn't understand." He nodded. "You're right. I don't understand lies that deep." Her eyes filled with tears, but not from guilt, from exposure. "You planned this humiliation?" I shook my head. "Not humiliation. Truth." "Same thing," she snapped. "No," I said. "Humiliation comes from lies falling apart." Her hands shook as she grabbed her purse. "You're both insane." Eric didn't move. "Leave, Vanica. Before I say something I regret." She hesitated, looking between us. "You'll regret this," she whispered to me. "I already regret ever loving you," I said. That hit her. She froze for a second, then turned, eyes glassy, lips pressed tight. Without another word, she walked out. The door shut softly behind her. The restaurant exhaled. Conversations slowly resumed, low murmurs rising like waves after a storm. Eric leaned back, rubbing his face. "Well," he muttered, "that went smoother than I thought." "Truth usually does," I said. He gave a humorless chuckle. "You didn't even raise your voice." "There was no need," I said. She heard every word. He stared at the folder again, then pushed it toward me. "Keep it. I don't want reminders." I nodded. "Fair." He stood up, hesitated. "You okay?" I smiled faintly. "I think so. Or I will be." He extended his hand. For what it's worth, thanks. I shook it. We were both victims. Now we're not. As he left, I sat back down. The waiter approached hesitantly. Everything, okay, sir? Perfect, I said quietly. Just closing a chapter. He nodded awkwardly and walked away. I stared at the empty chair where she'd been sitting minutes ago. The smell of her perfume still lingered in the air, mixing with garlic and wine. I wondered if the scent would ever stop reminding me of betrayal. For a long moment, I just sat there, motionless, silent. My reflection in the glass window looked calm, but my chest felt hollow. Tom texted, "Did it happen?" I typed back, "Yes. It's over." Then I slipped the phone into my pocket and walked out into the cool night. The streetlights glowed faintly, the city humming like nothing had changed. But something in me had, something final, irreversible. As I walked to my car, I felt a strange peace. No adrenaline, no triumph, just stillness. The kind that comes when truth finally fills the space lies once occupied. When I reached home, the silence was comforting. For weeks, I dreaded nights like this, the empty bed, the quiet walls. But that night, I didn't cry. I didn't even think. I poured a glass of water, sat on the couch, and stared at the ceiling. My mind replayed her face, the moment realization struck her, the crack in her voice when she said, "You'll regret this." Maybe I would someday. But not tonight. Tonight, I'd done what I needed to do. Revenge didn't need shouting. It didn't need chaos. It needed silence, clean, absolute, undeniable silence. And in that silence, I slept, for the first time in weeks, without tears, without questions. It wasn't happiness, not yet. But it was peace. And for now, that was enough. Mia laughed softly, tucking her hair behind her ear. "You're staring again." "I'm just trying to figure you out," I said, half smiling. "Well, don't overthink it," she teased. "I'm not a mystery. Just a girl who likes her coffee black and her peace intact." "Peace," I echoed. "That's new for me." She tilted her head. "You sound like a man who's been through war." "I have," I murmured. "But I'm still learning what to do with the silence afterward." Her expression softened. "Then maybe I'm your truce." For a while, we just sat there, the cafe hum soft around us. No tension. No pretense. Just a calm I didn't know how to handle. When I got back to the office, Nora glanced up from her screen. "You're smiling," she said flatly. "Am I?" "Yeah. Creepy, too." "Who is she?" "Mia," I said. Nora's eyes widened. "Vanika's cousin?" I sighed. "Yeah." She leaned back. "You're either the boldest man I know or the dumbest." "Probably both," I said, tossing my coat on the chair. "Does she know what happened between you and Vanika?" "She does," I replied. "I told her everything." Nora raised a brow. "And she still talks to you?" "She said people make mistakes." "That's not forgiveness," Nora said quietly. "That's sympathy. Don't confuse the two." I looked out the window. "You sound like my conscience." "Someone has to be," she muttered. "Because you clearly left yours in that restaurant." I laughed, though it came out hollow. Maybe I did. The next week, Mia invited me to her art show. Her paintings were small, full of soft blues and light strokes. They felt like healing in color form. "What do you think?" she asked, standing beside me. "They look like peace," I said. "Something I've never been good at." "You don't have to be good at it," she whispered. "You just have to let it happen." Later that night, as we walked out, I saw her. Vanika. Standing near the parking lot, arms folded, eyes sharp as glass. "Mia," she said, stepping forward. "Didn't expect to see you here." Mia smiled politely. "It's my event, Vanika. Of course you'd see me here." Vanika's gaze shifted to me. "And you brought him?" I didn't speak. Mia's tone stayed calm. "He's my friend." "Friend," Vanika repeated, her voice dripping disbelief. You don't just befriend your ex's cousin, Mia. Maybe I do, Mia said simply. Vanika's eyes met mine. So this is your new revenge? It's not revenge, I said evenly. You did that to yourself. Her lip trembled before she turned away. You're pathetic, she whispered, then walked off. Mia exhaled, gripping my hand. I'm sorry. Don't be, I said softly. She needed to see that I moved on. Mia looked up at me. Did you? I paused. I'm trying. Days passed quietly after that, but Nora noticed my restlessness. You're doing it again, she said one morning. Doing what? Using someone else to fix your cracks. I'm not, I said quickly. She didn't blink. You are. You just don't see it yet. She's different, Nora. So was Vanika. In the beginning, she shot back. Her words stung, mostly because they weren't wrong. That night, I called Mia. Can we meet? She agreed instantly. We met at the Riverside Cafe where we first talked. She smiled when she saw me. You look tense. I just wanted to be honest, I said. Her eyes searched mine. About what? I don't know if I'm ready for what you deserve. She stayed quiet. The sound of the river filled the pause. You don't have to rush, she said finally. Healing isn't a deadline. I just don't want to hurt you the way I was hurt, I whispered. Then don't, she said simply. I laughed weakly. You make it sound easy. It's not easy, she said. But it's real. That's better than easy. I reached across the table, brushing her fingers. I like real. She smiled. Then stop pretending you're fine. I stared at her, feeling something shift inside me. She wasn't trying to fix me, she was just trying to see me. When I got home, I saw a message from an unknown number. Still playing games, I see. Vanika. I deleted it without replying. The next morning, Nora dropped a folder on my desk. Client reports, she said. Then, lowering her voice, Vanika's been calling the office. About what? You, she said. She asked if you and Mia are serious. I exhaled. She doesn't get to ask that. She will, until you make her stop, Nora said firmly. You need to close this chapter properly. How? Face her, she said. Not with anger, with indifference. That word lingered. Indifference. The final stage of revenge. That evening, I stood outside Vanika's apartment building. She came out before I could even knock. You're here, she said, arms crossed. I'm not here to fight, I said calmly. Just to end it. End what? You already destroyed me. No, I said quietly. You destroyed yourself. I just stopped saving you. Her eyes filled with tears. You loved me once. I did, I admitted. But love doesn't survive lies. It suffocates under them. She took a step closer. And Mia? She's not you, I said simply. That's enough. She looked away, her voice breaking. You think this is over? It is, I said. Because I don't feel anything anymore. I turned and walked away. No drama, no shouting, just silence. When I got back to my car, my hands were steady for the first time in months. I texted Mia, dinner tomorrow? She replied instantly, always. As I looked out at the city lights, I realized something: revenge wasn't about pain anymore. It was about peace. And for the first time, I was learning to live inside it. The funeral felt colder than the weather deserved. People whispered condolences I barely heard. My father had always been a quiet man, disciplined, distant, almost unreadable. Standing over his coffin, I felt something heavier than grief: unfinished business. After the ceremony, my father's lawyer, Mr. Graham, approached me. We should meet soon, he said. There are matters you need to be aware of. Matters? I repeated. He barely had anything. Mr. Graham gave a thin smile. Appearances can be deceptive. Tomorrow, 10 a.m.? I nodded, though confusion gnawed at me all night. When I arrived at his office the next day, the blinds were drawn, papers neatly stacked on the desk. Mr. Graham gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." I did. "So, what's this about?" He opened a leather folder and slid a document toward me. "Your father left you a letter. You should read this before anything else." I hesitated, then unfolded the letter. His handwriting was steady, deliberate. "My son. If you're reading this, it means I'm gone. You've always believed we lived modestly because we had no choice. The truth is, I wanted you to know struggle before success. Money without meaning destroys character. Every company, every asset I built, all of it was in other names. You'll understand why now. You inherit everything. Don't let wealth make you forget pain. Pain built you." I stared at the words, my heart beat heavy in my ears. "You're saying he was rich?" "Extremely," Mr. Graham said. "He owned controlling shares in several international corporations, hidden behind trusts and shell entities. The total valuation exceeds $3 billion. I laughed. It sounded wrong, almost manic. "That's impossible. We lived in a rented apartment." "He insisted on it," Mr. Graham said quietly. "He told me, let him earn his peace before his comfort." I leaned back, the irony slicing through me like glass. Vanika's voice echoed in my memory, "You're too safe, too average. I can't build a life on dreams." Mr. Graham continued, "You also inherit his estate, private accounts, and intellectual holdings. It's all legally yours." I looked up. He never told me why he hid it. He said you'd find your own reason, once the time was right. I left the office numb. Billionaire. The word felt foreign, like it belonged to someone else. That night, Nora noticed something was off the second I walked in. "You look like you saw a ghost," she said. In a way, I did. "What happened?" "My father wasn't who I thought he was," I said. "He was wealthy, absurdly wealthy." Nora blinked. "Wait, what? 3 billion. Maybe more." Her mouth fell open. "And you're?" "His only heir." She sat down slowly. Holy hell. "So, all this time." "All this time," I finished, "Vanika left me for money I already had." There was silence. Then Nora whispered, "That's poetic." "Cruel poetry," I muttered. "The kind that laughs at you." By the next morning, the news had spread. Somehow, it always does. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Journalists, old acquaintances, even distant relatives. I ignored them all. Until one call made me freeze. "Vanika." I let it ring out. Then it rang again. And again. Finally, I picked up. Her voice cracked the moment she spoke. "I just heard." "Is it true?" "It is," I said evenly. You're a billionaire?" "I guess I am now." She let out a shaky breath. "I didn't know, I swear. I thought." "You thought I was just the man who couldn't afford your dreams," I said flatly. "That's not fair," she protested. "You don't understand the pressure I was under. My parents." "Stop," I interrupted. "Don't rewrite it. You made your choice." There was silence on the line, heavy and trembling. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "Eric isn't who I thought he was either. He's cruel." "Then leave him," I said. "You've done it before." "I don't want to leave you again," she said softly. "Please, can we talk? Just once." I almost laughed. "Talk about what, Vanika? How fate tricked you out of a jackpot?" "That's not fair," she said again, voice breaking. "I loved you." "No," I said. "You loved what you thought I could become. You just didn't wait long enough to see it." "I was scared," she whispered. "I didn't want to struggle." "We all struggle," I said quietly. "Some of us just don't trade love for comfort." She cried softly on the other end. "Can I see you?" I closed my eyes. "No. Please," she pleaded. "Just one conversation." "Vanika," I cut in. "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Her breath hitched. Then the call ended. I sat there for a while, the silence pressing against me. Part of me felt pity. The rest felt free. Later that evening, I met Mia at the cafe. She smiled, unaware of the storm behind my calm. "You're quiet," she said. "Long day," I replied. "Anything you want to talk about?" "My father left me something," I said carefully. "What kind of something?" "Everything," I said simply. She blinked. "You mean, money?" "More than I know what to do with." She smiled softly. "You don't look happy about it." "Because it's not happiness," I said. "It's irony." She reached across the table. "Then use it wisely. Money only reveals who we really are." I nodded. "That's exactly what I'm afraid of." The following week, Nora walked into my office holding a newspaper. My face was on the front page. "Hidden heir, the billionaire nobody knew. You've officially become a headline," she said. "Great," I muttered. "Also," she added, "Vanika's been talking to reporters. She's playing the heartbroken ex angle." I exhaled slowly. "Of course she is. She wants sympathy," Nora said. "Don't give her relevance." "I won't," I promised. She studied me. "You're calm. Too calm." "I'm past anger," I said. "I'm somewhere colder." That night, I got another call, this time from an unknown number. "Congratulations," a familiar voice said. "Eric. What do you want?" "To say you win," he replied. "She's been miserable since the restaurant." "And now this?" "She can't stop talking about you." "I didn't do it for that," I said. He chuckled darkly. "Doesn't matter. You still got the better ending." "I don't want her suffering," I said quietly. "You already made sure of it," he said, and hung up. I sat in the dark after that, staring at the city lights bleeding through the window. Money, revenge, love, all tangled threads. None of them felt like peace. Mia called later. "You sound far away," she said. "I'm here," I said. "No, you're not," she murmured. "You're standing in the ruins, pretending it's a throne." Her words landed hard. "Maybe I don't know how to leave." "Then I'll wait," she said softly. "But don't make me another chapter in your revenge." Her voice broke something inside me, something I thought was already gone. After we hung up, I sat there, thinking about my father's words. "Don't let wealth make you forget pain. Pain built you." I understood now. The fortune wasn't the reward, it was the test. And Vanika? She was the lesson. The next morning, I wrote a message I never sent: "Thank you for leaving. You made space for who I was meant to become." Then I deleted it, smiled faintly, and walked out to face a world that finally looked smaller than me. Money doesn't just change your life, it changes how people see you. Overnight, the same people who once avoided me began acting like old friends. Invitations poured in, business offers, networking dinners, the same faces that never noticed me now smiled too brightly. I played along, calm, polite, detached. Vanika wasn't far behind them. It started with mutual friends, checking up. "A text from Erica, Vanika's been asking about you. She just wants to make sure you're okay." I replied, "I'm better than okay." A week later, I saw Vanika at a charity gala, an event I was invited to as a guest of honor. She arrived late, dressed elegantly but with eyes that carried exhaustion instead of confidence. Mia stood beside me, radiant in simplicity. When Vanika's gaze fell on us, her smile faltered for just a second before she forced it back. She approached. "I didn't know you'd be here," she said softly. "I was invited," I replied. "I see." Her eyes flicked to Mia. "And you brought company." "Mia's not company," I said. "She's someone who knows the difference between affection and ambition." Mia looked uncomfortable but smiled politely. "Nice to see you again, Vanika." "You too," Vanika said, though her tone cracked. Nora appeared beside me, holding a glass of champagne. "Your speech in 10 minutes, she whispered. "Right," I said, turning to Vanika. "Enjoy the evening." She nodded stiffly. Of course. When I stepped onto the stage for my short speech about creative entrepreneurship, I saw her watching me, not the man she once dated, but the man she underestimated. I spoke about perseverance, humility, and betrayal as silent teachers. I didn't say her name, but her guilt filled every pause. Afterward, she slipped away before the applause ended. The following days, her attempts grew subtle. Likes on old photos. Comments on posts. Shared memories resurfacing through accidental texts. One message read, "Remember the bookstore in Greenwich? I walked by it today." I typed, "I remember." Some stories end where they began. Then I muted her. Eric was long gone by then. I'd heard through Lena that he'd left Vanica for another woman. He took half her savings and disappeared, Lena said over coffee. Did he? I asked, half amused. She's devastated, Lena added. But I thought you should know, she regrets everything. Regret isn't a currency I trade in, I said. Still, part of me wondered what her life looked like now, stripped of illusions, drowning in silence. A few nights later, as rain tapped the windows of my penthouse, my intercom buzzed. The guard's voice came through. "Sir, there's a woman here. Says her name is Vanica. She's asking to see you." I hesitated. "Let her up." When the elevator doors opened, she stood there, drenched, eyes swollen, clutching her bag like it was the last thing tethering her. "Why are you here?" I asked. "I didn't know where else to go," she said. "You're the only person who ever saw me." "That's not true," I said. "Eric saw you too. Just not the version you pretended to be." She flinched. "I deserve that." "You deserve honesty," I said. "You always have, even when you couldn't give it." "I was stupid," she said quietly. "I thought love without money meant suffering. And now? Now I know money without love is emptier than poverty ever was." Her voice cracked mid-sentence. She stepped closer. "I thought you were poor." I was wrong. I met her eyes, calm. "You weren't wrong. You just measured wealth the wrong way." Tears welled in her eyes. "You hate me." "I don't," I said. "I outgrew the version of me that needed you." She looked around the apartment, the city skyline glowing behind me, the polished floors, the silence that felt expensive. "You really became everything I wanted." "No," I said softly. "I became everything you didn't have the patience to wait for." Her breath hitched. "Can't we start over?" I smiled faintly. "Start over what? The lies? The pretending? Or the slow decay that looked like love?" She shook her head, crying harder. "Please, don't talk like that." "Why not?" I asked. "That's how it was." She moved closer again, trembling. "I miss you." "You missed the comfort of who I was," I said. "Not me." For a moment, silence filled the room, the kind that carries more truth than any argument. "I lost everything," she whispered. "Eric, friends, reputation. I thought I was building a life. Turns out, I was burning it." "You built it on lies," I said quietly. "It was bound to collapse." She looked at me, desperate. "Do you ever think about us?" "Sometimes," I admitted. "Mostly when I need to remind myself what self-respect costs." She exhaled shakily. "You've changed." "I learned," I said. "There's a difference." She wiped her face, staring at the floor. "Mia's lucky." "Mia's kind," I said. "That's not luck. That's choice." She nodded weakly. "She's family. I shouldn't even be here." "No, you shouldn't," I agreed. "But maybe this is your closure." "Closure?" "Yeah," I said. "You seeing what you traded for what you thought you wanted." She took a step back, trembling. "I deserve the pain." "No one deserves it," I said. "But we earn what we learn from it." The elevator chimed again. She turned toward it. "Goodbye, Vanica," I said softly. She hesitated. "Do you ever forgive me?" "I already did," I said. The day I stopped needing you to apologize. She left without another word. When the doors closed, I stood there for a while, listening to the rain fade into the distance. Later that night, Mia called. "You sound strange," she said. "An old ghost visited," I replied. "Vanica?" "Yeah." "What did she want?" "Redemption," I said. "But some stories don't get rewritten, they just end differently." Mia was silent for a moment. "Do you feel better?" "I feel lighter," I said. Sometimes silence finishes what anger starts. She smiled through the phone. "Then maybe you're finally done fighting the past." "Maybe," I said, glancing at the window. "Or maybe the past just lost its power." That night, for the first time in months, I slept deeply, no bitterness, no revenge, no ghosts. Just peace. Because real revenge isn't destruction. Mia leaned on the balcony railing, her hair catching the breeze. "She called again, didn't she?" I nodded. "Yeah. Third time this week. Different number each time." "She doesn't give up easily," Mia said softly. "What did she say?" "She begged," I said quietly. "Said she's changed, that she realizes what she lost." Mia turned to me. "And you?" I told her it's too late. I took a slow breath. Not because of the money. Because she already killed what we had the day she chose pride over love. Mia stayed silent, eyes thoughtful. I could feel her reading the weight behind my words. She asked if I was with someone else, I continued. When I told her about you, she laughed. Said I was using you to get back at her. Mia's lips curved faintly. Do you think she believes that? She believes what makes her feel less guilty. I exhaled, feeling the tension drain. I didn't even feel anger anymore. Just pity. Pity can be crueler than hate, she said. I know, I murmured. But maybe it's kinder too. She turned, resting her head on my shoulder. You still care, don't you? Not in love, but care. I care that she learns, I admitted. That she doesn't destroy the next person who trusts her. Mia smiled faintly. You really think people like her learn? Maybe not right away, I said. But life has its way of repeating lessons until we do. The city lights shimmered below us, quiet witnesses to endings and beginnings. She left the city, Mia said after a pause. Nora mentioned it. Apparently, she tried starting a new business. Didn't go well. I figured, I replied. She was always chasing something, never building it. Mia looked at me. You don't sound happy about that. I'm not, I said. I don't want her to fail. I just don't want her near my peace. That's fair, she said softly. Sometimes peace means letting others lose their own battles. I smiled faintly. That's exactly it. We stood in silence for a while. The night wasn't loud, but it was full, of memories, of quiet forgiveness, of unspoken relief. Later, as we sat on the couch, she asked, do you ever wonder what would have happened if she'd stayed? Every now and then, I admitted. But I don't chase the what-ifs anymore. What changed? I stopped mistaking attachment for destiny, I said. She tilted her head. That's deep. I smiled. It's survival. Mia reached for my hand. You know, you never really told me everything about her. Only pieces. I leaned back. You sure you want to hear it? She nodded. You can't build something real on silence. So I told her. About the laughter that once filled my days. About the way her voice could make me believe in things again. About the slow poison of manipulation dressed as love. Mia didn't interrupt. She just listened, not to judge, but to understand. When I finished, she said quietly, you gave her your heart too easily. I did. And she mistook it for weakness. She did. Mia smiled sadly. You remind me of someone who keeps touching a scar to see if it still hurts. I chuckled. Maybe because it reminds me I survived it. She leaned closer. Maybe revenge wasn't what you needed. I looked at her, curious. Then what did I need? Peace, she whispered. Her words settled into me like a truth I'd always known but never said aloud. I used to think peace came after payback, I admitted. But it's the other way around. She smiled. That's growth. I nodded. Maybe. Or maybe it's just exhaustion. Mia laughed softly. You always hide your healing behind jokes. Maybe that's my way of managing it. Or avoiding it, she teased. Both, I said with a grin. She laughed again, then grew serious. Do you still hate her? No, I said simply. Hate takes energy. I'd rather use it on you. She blushed, shaking her head. You're impossible. Honest, I corrected. We both smiled. For the first time in a long time, it felt like a smile that came from peace, not pride. A few weeks later, I got a message from an old friend. Vanica moved to another city. Trying to start over. I read it twice, then deleted it. Not out of anger, out of closure. Mia noticed. That was her, wasn't it? Indirectly, I said. And nothing. She's doing what she has to do. I hope she finds what she's been running from. Mia exhaled. You're a good man. I shook my head. No. Just a man who's tired of bleeding for people who never learned how to hold gentleness. She looked at me quietly. I think you finally found yourself. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I just stopped looking in broken mirrors. That made her smile. You sound like you're writing poetry again. Maybe I am, I said softly. But this time, I'm not writing about loss. What then? She asked. Rebuilding. We sat there for a long time, the kind of silence that doesn't demand filling. When she spoke again, her voice was gentle. You think she'll ever forgive herself? Eventually, I said. We all do, when the loneliness gets loud enough. And you? I already have, I whispered. Forgiving her was the last step to freeing myself. Mia smiled, eyes glistening. Then maybe this is your real beginning. Maybe it is, I said. And this time, I'm not building it to prove anything. She squeezed my hand. Just to live? Just to live, I echoed. Outside, the wind moved through the trees, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel haunted by what was lost. I felt grateful for what remained, honesty, peace, and the quiet company of someone who saw me beyond my wounds. Vanica became a ghost of a chapter one no longer reread. And Mia, she became the calm after every storm I'd survived. The past didn't disappear. It just stopped defining me. That night, as I drifted to sleep beside her, I realized something simple. Revenge had ended the story, but forgiveness had written the epilogue. Rain tapped lightly on the bookstore windows, the same rhythm I remembered from years ago. I stood outside, staring at the glass where our reflections used to meet. Vanica and I had laughed here once, two dreamers, broke but alive. Now it was just me. And I wasn't the same man anymore. Mia's voice echoed in my memory. You don't heal by proving people wrong. You heal by proving yourself right. I smiled faintly. She was right. Inside, the smell of old paper greeted me like an old friend. The place hadn't changed. The same crooked shelf, the same quiet hum of jazz from the corner speaker. What changed was me. My silence wasn't heavy anymore. Back again? The clerk recognized me. Yeah, I said softly. Just visiting an old ghost. He laughed. Ghosts can't hurt you if you stop feeding them. I smiled. That's the plan. I walked toward the table where Vanica and I had once sat, pretending to read while flirting between paragraphs. My fingers brushed the same wooden surface, but this time, I didn't see her face. I saw mine, calm, clear, and unbothered. A voice behind me startled me. Didn't think I'd see you here again. I turned. Vanica. Same eyes. Different energy. For a moment, I just looked at her. The last time we spoke, she was broken, begging for another chance. Now she looked tired. Not ruined. Just human. Hi, she said quietly. Hi, I replied. Still coming here? Sometimes, I said. It's peaceful. She nodded. I used to come here after you stopped. Trying to feel close to something I'd already lost. I didn't answer. The silence between us was full of things that didn't need to be said. I heard you're doing well, she continued. Your company's everywhere now. Magazines, interviews. I'm doing fine, I said simply. You always were meant to, she whispered. I studied her face. The arrogance that once defined her was gone, replaced by something softer, regret, maybe. I wanted to say sorry, she said finally. You already did, I replied. Not like this. Her voice cracked. Back then, I was apologizing to get something back. Now, I just want to mean it. I looked at her for a long time. I know. She blinked. That's it? You're not angry? No, I said. Anger kept me alive once. Now it just feels like noise. She bit her lip. You really changed. I had to, I said. You can't heal in the same mindset that broke you. She looked down. Do you ever miss me? Sometimes, I admitted. But I don't miss us. There's a difference. What's the difference? I miss the person I was when I believed in you. Not the man I became trying to survive you. Her eyes filled with tears. I ruined us. You revealed us, I corrected. Big difference. She looked away, trying to steady her breath. I thought leaving you was freedom. But I just traded one prison for another. I know, I said quietly. That's how lessons work. She laughed bitterly. You always talk like a philosopher now. Maybe pain makes you one, I said. She smiled weakly. I saw Mia once. She looked happy. She is, I said. She must love you differently. She loves me honestly, I said. That's the only difference that matters. Vanica nodded slowly. She's lucky. No, I said. We both are. We met after we both broke. That's why it works, we don't expect perfection, just peace. She exhaled. Peace, that's something I'm still chasing. You'll find it, I said. But only when you stop chasing people for it. She gave a sad smile. You used to sound just like me. I did, I admitted. But heartbreak either hardens you or humbles you. I chose the latter. Her eyes glistened. And revenge? Did you ever get it? I chuckled softly. You're looking at it. She frowned. What do you mean? My revenge wasn't destroying you, I said. It was becoming untouchable. That silence, the kind that burns more than any insult, filled the space between us. She swallowed. You won. It wasn't a competition, I said gently. But if it was, I won the day I stopped playing. Vanica looked down again, tears threatening. You deserved better than me. I deserved peace, I said. And I finally found it. She wiped her eyes. I hope one day I do too. You will, I said softly. When you stop trying to rewrite the past. She gave a small nod, then turned toward the door. Before leaving, she said, You're not the same boy I left. I'm not, I replied. And that's the best thing that ever happened to me. When she walked away, I didn't watch her go. I just stood there, breathing. For years, I thought revenge was the end of the story. But it wasn't. It was the bridge to who I was meant to become. Outside, the rain had stopped. The street glistened under the faint glow of the streetlights. I stepped out, letting the cool air touch my face. I looked up at the bookstore sign one last time. That place once held everything I lost, now it held everything I learned. People who leave you for what you lack will always crawl back when you gain it. But that's not your victory, that's their punishment. I smiled, hands in my pockets, feeling lighter than I had in years. For the first time, I wasn't chasing love, revenge, or validation. I was chasing peace. And this time, I knew how to keep it.